Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing today? My name is Coach Beasley, Coach Maurice Beasley. You can call me Coach Beasley, you can call me Coach B, call me Mr. Beasley, Mr. B, whatever it is that you feel like doing. Welcome to my classes. I'm creating this generic general message here for everyone to understand what we are doing in my courses here for Georgia Piedmont. In this graphic design or DMPT courses here. So let's get started with things. First off, thank you for coming to class and being here and enrolling in these courses. Without you here, I would not be here. So I thank y'all very much for that. I hope that my efforts to educate you are going to be rewarding for you. You will get to know things and you will get to learn. What I'm going to go over with you right now is things like the course syllabus, class policies, looking at Blackboard if you're not familiar with how Blackboard works completely, kind of going over that type of information. I'm going to take this video and attach it if I can to an email to send out to everyone so you could see this now, but it'll also be inside of Blackboard, and I'll show you where all that's going to be. So, without further ado, stop looking at my face. We're going to connect to good old Blackboard. So let me share my screen and get old Blackboard over here and get other stuff out of my way. Alrighty. First things first, when it comes to Blackboard, um, hope everybody's seeing my screen okay. Whether you're doing an in-person class, oh, what happened? Hold on a second. Everything is just all of a sudden went screwy. Uh-oh. Hold on. I'm going to pause for a second to figure out what this is, and then I'll be back in a moment. So hang tight. All right, it's back. We're back. So don't know what happened, but it's back and running. So hopefully this doesn't happen again. Anyway, this is Blackboard. For those of you not familiar, this is a class. It may not be the class that you're in, but this is going to be the one I want to use as my example. So what will you see on Blackboard from the beginning? First off, at the top, it'll give you the name of the course. Make sure you're in the correct one. If you're taking it in person or if you're taking it online, you will all have an entry for that class in Blackboard. You just check to make sure that you're in the correct one before you get started with anything. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see my name as the instructor. You'll see some details and actions that you could possibly do. The main thing over here is going to be the course schedule. It's going to tell you when the class is being taught. If you're doing the online classes, these are the times that I will be available in case you have a question about something. I know some of you are going to have different times where you're going to access this, going through the class online. Everybody has life to go through. But I will be available during these times. Like in this case, is Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 4 p.m. So it'll tell you when the course is being taught for the lecture and everything. For those of you going to be in person, and what room number that you go to. For those of you going to be online, this is going to tell you that these are the times that the course is scheduled for. So the course materials for that day will be available at that point. And we'll talk about the course materials in a little bit. Also, I will be available during that time for the online courses for you to come by the office or call me at the office or shoot me an email if you're confused about something and need some clarification before you move forward. So make sure that you're paying attention to that course schedule time there. Now, when you get into the course, the first things first. Well, let me show you one thing. These little circles next to these entries right here, these let you know about if that particular part of the course is complete or not. Some of the students mess up things when it comes to course completeness, meaning that they don't check to see if they have a green check mark here in this little radio button. If there's no green check mark, it's because you did not do that particular task or you went halfway with the task. So you'll see like a half and half circle here, half be black, half be white. So I'm going to show you what you need to do with this. Instructor contact information. This is how you get in touch with me and get to know who I am. So you'll see, my ugly mug sitting up here, but more importantly, it'll have the information of who I am and how to get in touch with me. You'll see my email address there, so you can shoot me an email from here if you need to. You also have this other link for booking a 15-minute meeting with me, so you can schedule a meeting date and time. I will respond to that to say that it's confirmed or it may need to change. As long as we agree, we'll meet, and we'll meet basically through WebEx. If you don't have WebEx on your machine that you're talking to me through, you can do it online through the browser that you're using. Speaking of internet browsers, we have been having in the past couple semesters with our Blackboard system, if you're using an Apple computer, do not use Safari, or try to use Safari to see if you can get through Blackboard. If you cannot, go and download and install Google Chrome, because Google Chrome will work with our Blackboard system if you're using an Apple device. That means if you're on on an iPad, or if you're on a laptop or a desktop, it's an Apple computer. Sometimes Safari does goofy things with either a test, a quiz, an exam, or sometimes the course material doesn't show up. You don't get the chance to log in and access anything like that. So if you're having that type of issue, understand that could be a solution. If you're really having a big issue with logging in the Blackboard at some point in time, again, get back in touch with me. Let me know, and I will do on my side here. I'll do what I can to try to get you a solution, because I try my best to kind of make that happen. Now, you go through this, and this is one of these parts of the modules, these different learning modules here in the class, where you don't do anything. There's nothing interactive for you to do. You just read through this information, write it down if you need to. When you hit the X on something like this, you'll see the little half and half circle there now. So it's telling you that you have looked at this, but since there was nothing to interact with, it's giving you kind of this halfway, not really done yet kind of thing. I know it says mark as complete. That means if you click onto that half and half circle, it turns to a green check mark. That means you've completed that. So that's a task that you have done. Make sure by the time the course is done, everything has a green check mark. If it has the green check mark next to it for each one of the different learning modules, all right, and some learning modules here have elements inside that you have to go through, and some things will be locked before you can get, so you have to do one task before you get to another task. Those things that'll be in there, you have to do things in order. All right. Once you get everything green, that is complete. So you need to make sure that you get through that and make sure everything is done like it needs to be. Next thing, this cafe chat. This is something that is very simple. A lot of you bypass this, and some of you get incomplete courses, or you get kicked out of the class because you didn't do these particular things. So make sure you're doing this. This is simply the course conduct, code of conduct for the school. All you're doing here is clicking on this link here to read the code of conduct. And then here where it says post a response for the discussion, you click there and you type in, yes, I have read the course conduct. That's exactly what you need to type in. Yes, I have read the course conduct. And submit it and post it. Once you've done that, that's finished. And simple thing, you do this first day, or if you're looking at this the day before class starts, do it right now, when we're done. When I'm done talking to you, do it and then complete it by, again, making sure that it's checked. If you post it, of course, it'll come back that you checked it because you did it completely. Then you'll be able to go to the next section, which is start here first. Now, this is arguably probably one of the more important areas to come into. First is the course syllabus and the course schedule. Some of the classes will have a listing of the course schedule, but for me, I have everything inside of the syllabus. So I'm going to show you what the syllabus will look like for this particular course. But you will click onto this link. It is going to give you the opportunity to look at the syllabus if you need to, or download it. And I suggest that you download it so you can read it thoroughly. Now, let me pull over the syllabus. So here is the syllabi, syllabus, silicar, silly truck. I'm being goofy, understand that, because I do that. If y'all were in person, y'all would be required to laugh at my bad jokes. Just make sure that you do that. Anyway, every one of my syllabi is going to look like this. It's going to have, name of the class across the top, so that way you know you're in the right one. If you're in the summer course, it'll say summer. If you're in the fall or spring course, it'll say fall/spring up there because the syllabi is a little different in the summer versus the fall. You'll have my contact information here in the syllabus as up there at the top, as well as the link to be able to do the Blackboard connection. Not the Blackboard, but the WebEx connection to book a time. There'll be a course description. Make sure that this matches into what you're expecting, through the course. You'll have the prerequisites listed, co-requisites listed, the course credit. Is the course, online or is it in person? Contact hours, all that sort of stuff. You'll also have day and times of the class is going to be happening. And one thing that's very, very important to everybody is this right here. Open labs every Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in lab room C24. DeKalb campus, C building, room 24 is our computer lab. If you're taking the classes in person, we'll probably be meeting in that lab if we can. If not, we'll probably be over in B1, building B, room 1 for our classes, depending on our scheduling. But over in C24, every Friday from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we will have that place open for open lab. Some days we'll be there at 9 o'clock, at 9 a.m., but 10 o'clock is a definite time that it'll be open. Now, what is open lab? It's a place where you can come in as a student. You could talk to myself. You could talk to Mr. Strength. You could talk to Mr. Thomas. If you're taking any of those classes with them, and you can have some one-on-one time to say, hey, can you help guide me through this? Can you help explain this for me, please? Because I didn't quite get it from class. Those of you taking the online class, you'd be able during the open lab times also, you can book time with me. You can also call as well or send an email and I'd be able to answer it because I'm essentially in the office at that time. Because my office is not that far. It's a small walking distance from the lab, a couple doors down. So I will be available if you need me for any of the classes that you take with me from now on. So an open lab is always going to be on a Friday. It's not no classes happening during that time. So you'll have my full attention for as long as you need it in order to get things done. Textbook requirements. There are going to be required textbooks. Sometimes there's other materials that are required depending on the class. And then there's optional textbooks and optional equipment materials that you can go and purchase. Some of the things you can go and get from the campus bookstore. Most of the things in my classes, I'm going to give you, if it's a book, I'm going to give you a link to that book through Amazon. So you can do it, you can compare prices if you need to. Same thing with the other materials that I would ask you to go get. You can go to Amazon and go get those things. I haven't made like an Amazon playlist or anything like that. That's probably the next iteration of my life to do that sort of thing where everything's all in one place for each class. I just not at that particular point right now. But I'll give you the cost for the Amazon link. It should not change, but sometimes they do. So don't let that cost there be your end all be all. If you have another place to be able to find that particular textbook, there is the ISBN number there where you can go and find it. Maybe you can find it as a PDF online that you can get it as an ebook instead of buying the actual physical book. It does not matter to me. In our day and age, with my day of going into school, everything had to be in a book because we didn't have the internet like it is now. But because the internet the way it is now, you can probably get away with finding the book as an electronic book, downloading it, putting it on your iPad and use that, or put it on your computer and use it that way. That's fine. For my classes, the book is required for you to have because every once in a while you're going to have to refer back to that book. Most of the books that I'm going to refer to you to get are going to be good reference books, meaning that it's not required for you to have that book in the class because we're not going to go rote and repetition of the book in the class because that's painful. Anything that I pull from that book, I will refer to it in the lecture and tell you, hey, if you go to the book and go to this chapter, go to this page, you'll see this information. And I'll talk about it like that. But I'm not expecting you to read everything in that book because most of these books are very wordy. They cover everything, but sometimes they don't do it in the right order. For my particular, how can I say, from my preference. So I'm not gonna, go by rote and repetition in the book. It's just the way that I go. Let's go down. Competency areas and learning outcomes. This is essentially telling you again what you should be expecting from the course. that I'm teaching you, so you can hold me to this. If there's something that you see here that I haven't covered, or you don't see coming up or what have you, let me know about it. So that way I can access it and try to figure it out and get it in there like you need to. All right, next thing, that's a very important. No show in the work ethic. Let's go back over here to Blackboard real quick. In the start here section, you will have the textbook information. So those same links to the textbooks will be there, but also course participation assignment. That's the no-show assignment. You must do this on the first day of class. Get it done on the first day of class. Don't procrastinate. Get it done on the first day of class. If you do it on the first day of class and it's done, you won't get kicked out of class. This has to be done by the Friday of our week, of our first week. If this is not done by that Thursday or Friday of our first week of class, you will get kicked out of class. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You will get kicked out of class. It's an automatic thing. I will have no control. If you get kicked out of class because you didn't do the no-show, you're not going to be added back to the class. That's the policy. You will not be added back into the class. Work ethic, it's the same thing. The work ethic discussion here, again, it's a discussion. You read the information, answer the questions, fill everything out. Do not be lazy, because if you're being lazy with the answer, that's going to be picked up. It's going to come back as incomplete. You're going to have to keep doing it until you get it right. If you don't do this work ethics and you do not do the course, the no-show, again, you'll get kicked out of class, and you're not going to be let back in. So let's not allow that to happen, please, because that's just a dumb situation. I hate saying it like that, but that is just a situation that's not smart. Course policies. Let's go over this. Late work will not be accepted. Late work will not be accepted. Late work will not be accepted. Okay, I've said that enough times, right? I hope you understand that. Um, Things happen. I understand. We have due dates for a reason. Everything comes in and is due at a particular date and time. Those dates and times could change. If it changes for one person, it's changing for everybody. Understand that. Nobody gets preferential treatment for any reason. You are required to get stuff done, get work done. This is college. High school, they'll give you some leeway and some grace. I don't. All right. I got to hold you to that, because in the real world, when you graduate, you go and get an actual job, doing the work that we're teaching you to do. There's no leeway. There's no grace. The deadline is the deadline. So work on that. All right. Work on your time management skills. Get these assignments done properly and in order and in the right time. Everything has to be properly formatted. So read through the labs and the projects that I give you. Every lab, every project is going to have a brief. That brief is going to tell you exactly what you need to do step by step, as far as how to get the work done and how to submit it. Whether you're going to have files given to you to work off of, or whether you have to go and get those particular files and create things on your own. But everything has to be packaged in a particular way and submitted in a particular way. Depending on the class, you should be able to submit everything through Blackboard. But depending on the class, you may have to submit things through Google Drive, Dropbox. Those are the free file sharing programs. With that, I'll give you specific instructions in class in regards to that, if I know that the files are going to be too big. But essentially, if you get a Dropbox account, free. If you get a Google Drive account, which is, again, free, you can have, or OneDrive is another one that's free that you can get connected to your email address. You get that, you make a folder for all your class submission files, put the things into that folder according to how the brief tells you how to package everything. Put a link into Blackboard, and that link will show that you submitted it. And then I'll use that link to go and get those files. That's easy how that works. Students have one attempt to submit work in Blackboard. This is subjective because it depends on what it is. If it's a quiz, you have multiple attempts. We'll talk about that later. If it is a lab, for me, you'll have 2 or 3 attempts in order to submit it, especially before the due date. I want to emphasize that before the due date, you have a chance to submit it multiple times. The reason for that, you may do the lab, submit it early, thinking that you have it done, and there may be something you missed because either you didn't read completely or there just may be a thing that you missed in here. That's fine. I'll feedback to you and let you know. You just check the feedback to see if it's been graded, and you'll see the feedback. It'll tell you if there's something you have to correct, and you'll have the chance to correct it before the due date. After the due date, it's not going to be accepted. It'll be a 0, shows that you did not submit it, or I'm going to grade on whatever you have as the last submission. So if you submitted something, I told you to correct something, you did not correct that by the due date, I'm just going to go with what you got. And then we'll go from there because at least you put something in there. And so your grade will reflect accordingly. Students will provide their own books, equipment, and software for the course. For most of the courses that you will be taking, at least with me in DMPT, it's going to be requiring you to have the Adobe Creative Suite of programs. Make sure that you get that. It's a student. You can get the student version of it, which doesn't really cost that much per year. I suggest you pay it off for the whole year. Don't do it monthly. And don't just get the one program for that one class. Get the entire Creative Suite. 2 reasons. Number one, you're going to take more classes with us, and that's going to require other programs to use. Some of these programs are interchangeable, so even in that one course you're taking, we may be using different programs out of that Creative Suite. And the last reason is when you graduate, now you're a now you could be a professional, and as a professional, you'll have Creative Suite already ready to go. You'll just go from the student version to the actual version, which is just costing a little bit more with a couple more features that you didn't have with the student version. But you'll be able to use that on your own if you're a freelancer, especially, but also if you're working for a company. Sometimes you want to do some work at home, kind of pre-making things, or you have the ability to work at home, something like that. So you have the Creative Suite available for you. Uh, Communication is best made by emails. This tells you kind of how that works. And then student evaluation and the course weighting. We do weighted averages for the classes. Everything is on a 100-point scale for the grading side, meaning that when you turn in something, I'm grading it on a 100-point scale. So how well did you do based on that 100-point system? However, each thing that we do, labs, projects, the final project, the final exam, each one of those have a different weight level to it. So don't just try to calculate across the board. Okay, well, I did this one. I got an 80 on this one, 80 points on this one, 70 points on this one, 30 points on this one. It doesn't quite work that way with everything. So don't expect that. We do a weighted system where certain things weigh more than other things. As you see here in this syllabus, it will show you what the weight is going on with. So some things are a lot more important to your grade than others. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Final exam or final project. Some of the final projects you will present in class. Usually that last week of class, right before finals, you will do that final presentation in class to present in front of the classroom what your work is and do what we call a stand up, where you stand up and kind of show your work and defend your work. Why did you do it like this? What was your motivation to do it like this? Why did you go this route instead of that route? It's preparing you for criticism of peers and your bosses. A lot of times you're going to get clients, bosses, shareholders, your peers. You're going to have to stand up in front of them and present the project or your part of the project and say why you did things in a particular way. They're going to scrutinize every little bit of it. They're going to say it's trash. They're going to say it's garbage. They're going to say all kinds of things to what you've done. And you have to be able to stand up and take that criticism. Hopefully it's not very harsh, but take that criticism and turn it into improving and creating better for what is needed. Your own creativity is your own creativity, but when you have to create for others, it can get kind of screwy. Last week of the course is dedicated to 2 things: taking the finals. The finals are going to be a proctored final, which means you're going to go through what is called the Respondus web browser. You could do it at home. And when you do it at home, there's going to be some rules about your environment that you have to keep in play to make sure that you can do that proctored event that way to take the final. Or you can come on campus, go to the library, and at the library, you can let them know, the librarian know, hey, I need to take a proctored final and they will point you to where the computer room is for you to take the final there. So you can take the final on campus, or you could take the final at home. Either way, it's going to be proctored, which means you got to have the camera on. It's going to monitor you the whole time. You can't have papers and all that stuff all over the place. No books or anything like that. So when you get to that point, it will be there. Now, the last thing here is going to be the course calendar that I mentioned. Instead of posting it up in Blackboard, I got it sitting here. My calendar is going to be a breakdown of each lecture and when that lecture is happening on that particular date and when it's usually posted. For those of you online, it's usually posted that first Monday before the class of that week. It'll be posted up for you to be able to start to consume. If you're taking a course where it's 2 days out the week that we meet, then you'll have the day before or the day of that course. It'll be posted. So it just depends on how my production schedule goes with filming. But usually I try to get everything by that Monday morning. Everything will be up and running for you. Labs. Labs, if you have labs in the course, they'll be assigned on one date and then they'll be due on a different date. Usually, it's in that same week for the labs because the labs are building blocks. They help you build on to what you're going to do in the final projects. The major thing you have to do in that project will be a lab so that way you can get used to doing it and know how to flow through it. And it should last, by the end of the week. So you'll be assigned to it, say on Monday, and you'll have until that Sunday, that Saturday, that Friday at 11:59 p.m. to turn it in. So labs only last for that week. Projects last longer. Sometimes they'll be 2 weeks, sometimes they'll be three. It depends on what the project is. You may have 3 projects, you may have 4 projects. It depends on the course, which one that you may have. But each project is going to be listed here as well. There'll be an assignment date and there'll be a due date. And we try to stay hard and fast to most of the project dates. The lab dates may be adjustable depending on things like holidays or if I get sick or something like that, or delayed for whatever reason with doing something or getting something assigned to you while delay and say move the date back for you to be able to turn it in. For those of you who probably took my courses before, I was doing a thing where where I would have all of your labs and projects would be due by a particular date at the end of the course. Not doing that anymore. Why, Coach Beasley? Well, because a lot of you started abusing that, meaning that some of you, not everybody, but some of you were doing things, some of the students, past students, were doing things like not doing a thing all semester. And then in the last 2 weeks, want to hurry up and throw everything all at once. And that's just way too much. It's too much to have to grade, too much to have to get feedback. You have no room to try to improve anything. And a lot of times that's you cramming stuff through and that's creating garbage. Time management is very important. Make sure that you are managing your time and doing things properly. If you don't do things properly, you will fail. So just take the zeros and fail. Drop the class if you got a problem with anything like that. All right, so we talked back over here to Blackboard here. So the start here first section, make sure you go in there to get the syllabus, the textbook information, the class participation, the no-show, and the work ethics. You complete each one of those in order. That will be a complete section, and that will be done. This video that I'm talking to you through, that I'm talking to you on, will be in this walkthrough video of the course. It'll be there posted. All you have to do is click on it. It'll be a link. It takes you directly to my YouTube page that will have this video on it, posted on there. If it's not coming through YouTube, then I'll have it linked to a OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever for you to be able to take and look at and read, because some of the lectures may be too long. But for the most part, everything's going to be served to you through a private YouTube page that you will have access to for the time of the course. All right, so that's the walkthrough, which will be this video. Now, resources for students. Some of the courses you want to check under here to see if there's anything that you may need to take a look at and read. This section here is not required for everyone to go through, meaning that you don't have to complete this with each one of those little nodules there. You don't have to complete that if you don't want to, because it will not affect you continuing on with the course. But I suggest that you check this out, because for my classes, sometimes I put things here, little gifts, I call them, to try to get you to continue on with the class. or information that you need throughout the whole course that's not tied into any one particular learning module or another. Now, let's talk about the learning modules. So each one of the modules that you'll get, they'll be titled something different. There'll be a little description for each module and a cute little picture for it. When you click on it, it's going to open up and show you the contents of that learning module. Very important. Each thing within the learning module needs to be addressed. There will be, the first thing that's usually going to show up is going to be a course description, just kind of telling you the objectives of what the class, or what this particular, objectives for this particular lecture. Then there is going to be usually going to be a PDF that's in kind of a PowerPoint format. That is the lecture itself. So this is kind of the visual version of the lecture. Every course that you take with me will have this in it. We'll have something like this in it to explain to you what's going to be going on as far as the lecture. I don't have it in this one, but there's also going to be a link that to the lecture itself. So the video lecture, if you're taking the classes online, for those of you taking the classes in person, you won't have that until probably much later because you already were there. You heard me, talk through this in the lecture because you're coming to class and to take the in-person lecture, right? Yes? Thumbs up for everybody. Okay. Um, Class files. Some of the modules will have class files for you to work on in class or something you can tinker around with if you're taking a class online. So while you're watching the video and looking at me demonstrate something, those class files that I'm demonstrating on will be available for you to kind of play around on yourself to practice with. One word of caution information. The class files, if you have a link to the class files and you download them and use them, you can use them for class. You can use them to build your own portfolio of stuff. You work on these things because we're in a graphic design track of things. You can use the files to create your own things. You cannot use the files to say that, hey, I made this, because it's going to be found out. And yeah, it's going to be found out. And you can't use the files for anything else outside of building your portfolio. Just want to say that right now. That will be part of the things that go in here to this resources for students, the copyright information, copyright rules. That will be one of the things that'll be in there. Now, finally, there's this quiz. All right, so every one of the learning modules will have a quiz attached to it. The quiz is basically going to be 10 questions that you will be able to answer, and they're going to look like this. They're either going to be multiple choice or true false. You have to get an 80% or better, which means you have to answer 8 out of the 10 questions correct. You answer 8 out of 10 questions correct, you have passed. You will have the green check mark for everything. If something like, see, here you go in this learning module, see how it says 3 out of 4 started? It just means that I've clicked on 3 out of the 4 things in here. All right, but and they haven't been completed yet. But if I got to, I can check on them to say they're complete. With the quiz, it'll automatically, check on if you pass. And see, now you say, see, 2 out of the 4 has been completed right there. Make sure that everything is completed, especially the quiz, because guess what happens? If you don't complete the quiz and don't get that 80%, you can't move on. All right. The next module will be, it'll say content isn't available because you must, do something. You must do this particular thing, whatever it may be. So for modules, these different learning modules, you have the quizzes, you have to pass the quiz, 80% or better, and then you'll be able to move on and to the next module. Same thing with the labs and the projects. So you'll have labs that'll be due on certain dates. We talked about that already. The labs don't unlock themselves unless you have completed the previous learning module. So if you work slow, you're going to have late work. So make sure that every week you're going through and listening to the lectures, taking your notes, going through the quiz. The quiz is unlimited tries. You can try it as many times as you need to in order to get to that 80%. Pass that quiz, move on to the next module, the next lecture. Get through that, get to the next lecture. Then there's a lab. All right, you can't get to the lab, can't open up the lab until you pass the previous module. And it will tell you what the problem is. All you got to do is look at it, and it'll tell you, and you go all the way through it. If you're the type that likes to power through everything, like you want to take, a week and you can do all the modules like up to the next 6 modules, have fun. do it. Just make sure you're learning and make sure you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Every lab, there's a set of rules and things that you have to do, set of instructions. You'll get a brief in that lab. You'll have a report that you'll have to fill out for that lab. That report and whatever the thing that the lab is having you do, you have to package together and submit as the lab into the lab, as the assignment for the lab. Once you've done that, you'll be able to move on to the next learning module and be able to continue on from there. When you get to the projects, it'll be the same format. There'll be a project brief. From that project brief, there'll be supporting files that goes along with that project brief most of the times, and then there's going to be the project report that you have to fill out. You fill out that project report, package that presentation together, submit it for the assignment, and then you keep moving forward from there. If you're taking an in-person class, the labs, the quizzes, and the projects are going to be the same exact format, which means you're going to have to, after the lecture is done, the next day or day later, you go in and go take the quiz here in Blackboard. You pass that, now you can go into the next learning module, which will be the next quiz and the next lecture and the next information. So you can study ahead of time before you come to the next lecture. So that way you have questions if you have questions, and be able to actively participate. Last thing I want to talk about is active participation. I expect, let me get this off. Hold on. I'm supposed to stop share. Come on. Stop share. There we go. Okay, I'm back. My expectation is if you're taking an in-person class, you are actively participating. I don't want you sitting there like a bump on a log, just listening to me rant and rave. Ask questions as you need to. Be part of the discussion. I will ask questions, and I expect the questions to be answered by you, especially if I call you by name. But I try not to do that. I try to leave the questions open to everyone to answer, so no one person is feeling, the pressure of having to answer. But there will be stand-ups in the in-person classes where you get up and you show your work to everyone. And there will be peer reviews as well, where people can tell you, your classmates and myself can tell you if this is looking good, if it's not looking good, if there's things that could be changed or updated before anything is submitted. In-person classes, there will be in-class exercises. There'll be the labs that you will be able to do, and my time is almost up. In-person classes in-class exercises that you will be doing, those will be the labs, and you'll have a chance to do things and get feedback from there as you're doing. The open lab is available for everyone. For those of you taking the online classes only, you will have the access to get to the open labs. If you know what my schedule is, you can come by my office and see what my class schedule is. You can come to the classroom if you need to and sit there and ask me a question about your course if you need to when there's a break or at the end of the class or beginning of it or anything like that. I am open to helping you, and I expect everyone to be open to get help because one person doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. I'll tell you that from the beginning. I don't know everything. I only know what I know. And I know how to do it based on my experience of doing things, not because, I just know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. So, and I know how to go and search and find the answers. And that's the important piece of it. So thank you very much for going through this video. It's kind of long. I understand. That's me. I get kind of long-winded. So expect that for for every class. I'm going to end this and thank y'all for being here. You'll see me in the next lecture for your class. So good luck and have fun with everything. Bye-bye.